So I've been thinking about something I refer to as open places, and it's an idea whereby large sections of spaces available around the city are made available to whoever wants to use it. And this is not a unique idea. With the rise of the sharing economy, this is already happening. But it's more so happening in terms of places to stay, whereas places to work. I think we're seeing a slower transition with the emergence of co-working spaces. And I've actually worked from more than 5 or 6 co-working spaces within the past year, 2 years perhaps. And this does not include areas like this. This is a library system, which I'm grateful for, enormously grateful for. And I'm very proud of this one system in Ontario, which I believe is well managed and is really well run. The facilities are really well run. So it doesn't include libraries, it doesn't include cafes. Obviously, these places are not meant for, the purpose is not for people to come into a library and work from here, although people like me do. So there's another conversation around repurposing spaces, a space for multi-purpose use. I mean, kind of like, it's like a slow running process at the back of my mind. I don't think about this too much. I did make a video briefly, like a couple of minute video about how any space could be retrofitted for any purpose, which I believe will be possible within a couple of years. Because you could dynamically rearrange furniture, and once you can rearrange furniture, you can do whatever you want with that space, and it opens up a lot of possibilities when you build furniture in a modular fashion. Whether that's going to be aesthetically pleasing, I think that should be a big factor. You just don't want furniture to kind of look like Legos, and next thing you know, you're living in the Minecraft. But I think this video is about. This is just a kind of like a mental snapshot of this particular subset of like a wider open spaces kind of a reality. I suspect that the future is one whereby we're going to have access to experiences. I think possession will give way to experiences. My view is biased. Obviously, I started the company based on this premise. Part of the premises. There's a big premise or big part. But as possession gives away to access to the actual experience or feeling or emotion, whatever you want to call it, I think we're going to see more and more of. The rise of the sharing economy is going to deliver a substantial portion of what I have just shared. So what I was thinking, to keep it specific, and that's kind of like a broader version of where I'm kind of going with a couple of these ideas. But so this might be specific to Ontario, might be specific to Canada. I haven't used the library system outside of Ontario, so I wouldn't know. I would assume most of the library systems across Canada are similar. So I actually crunched the numbers and crude mathematics. And I could be wrong here. Whoops, what's going on with the internet? So I think the population of Mississauga is about 1 million people, the city where I live in. Let me just double check. It's been a couple of weeks since I crunched the numbers. Can't recall that at the top of my head. Population. Whoops, what's this pop up? Okay, accept. This not Mississippi. Mississauga. There we go. I think population of Mississauga is around 1 million people right now. Could be more. I think officially is 750,000, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 1 million people. So when I crunch the numbers, and the library system, like I said, is really well maintained, and I sincerely believe that a well-maintained knowledge management system, with the library system being part of that, like the wider pillar, is very critical. Many innovations can be brought about to kind of take the library system from rows and rows of books to what's possible in terms of avatars and content available digitally, like it's being done in India, as in the plan is to digitally link all the libraries in India, where most of the titles, if not all the titles, will be available through a tablet. That's a start. A lot of things will be possible with the rise of a couple of technologies in the domains of photonics, holograms, AI in general. It can do a lot of things with narrow AI. And it looks like conversational AIs are across the horizon. So you'll have a kind of like a non-conscious AI that you could interact with, and it's going to be able to answer most of the questions. Kind of like an advanced version of Watson, but with a different face, and more kind of smoother speech, facial expressions, so on and so forth. Something more relatable, something kind of like Walks from the movie Time Machine or the book Time Machine. I don't know if it was mentioned in the book, but it was definitely in the movie. So, coming back to the numbers, for a population of about 1 million people, the cost to maintain all the libraries comes down to about $36 per person per year. So that's a very small cost in order to be able to maintain an institution like that. What I was thinking though was, because the conversation was about open spaces, and having visited a whole bunch of co-working spaces around the city and in Toronto, and mostly Toronto, because that's where most of the activity, when it relates to co-working spaces, happens to be. I haven't visited a co-working space in the Kitchener-Waterloo region other than Communitech, and it's been a couple of years. So I don't think co-working spaces are being done right. And that's a wider conversation. That's another conversation. But I think mobility should be a key factor, at least for entrepreneurs who are just starting. And I think by enabling a reality whereby mobility can be increased, the throughput when it relates to how many individuals are actually starting companies could be greatly expedited. So that would be like the spark of boosting the rates when it relates to how many people are actually going into entrepreneurship. So the thing I was thinking was, and I'm kind of split whether this is a good idea or not, but because I like to see more force in the market kind of coming in and providing the services so that greater choices are available for people. It's good for the economy, and sustains the free market. enables further the free market, creates jobs, lowers the prices with competition taken more mainstream, and better quality is provided to the consumers, like traditional, like conscious capitalism, if you want to call it. But what I was thinking though, because that's kind of like the ideal situation, but just to start, and this is the actual idea for this video, just to start, if the budget for the libraries could be doubled, so instead of $36 a year, each one of us, like each one of the taxpayer would pay $72 or maybe $80 a year. It's still the price of a steak dinner for two. But what will be possible with a budget like that is, instead of building more libraries, libraries could be rebuilt, like up, multi-level libraries. And what's going to happen then is specific, like maybe two, maybe more levels of that library system will be made available for anyone who wants to come in and book time and actually use it as a co-working space. Why libraries? I don't know, like it seems like everything is already set up from the perspective of what a person needs in order to be able to be productive throughout the day, exception of a kitchen perhaps. You have Wi-Fi, you have electrical outlets, you have washrooms. Like I said, the only thing missing is the kitchen. So if that can be done, then that would actually be pretty good for this part of the world, where people like me could pay per day, per week, per month, per 6 months, per year, in order to be able to have access to space on a 24/7 basis. So I have a couple ideas around that. And so you could have multi-tiered levels, and you wouldn't have 24/7 access to the ground floor where all their assets are, or the books are. Maybe, actually, I thought of an idea of how to enable that as well. But you would have access to all the other levels. And that would be great. So, yeah, I'll just keep the video to that. This is just a thought, just an idea. Thanks.